Hey everyone, welcome back to Rhythm Railroad. This is update number 16 of my HO scale layout. It's been about a week and I've done a lot of work down here. Once again, I didn't want to get too far ahead, which I probably did, but I wanted to make sure that I got a video in before I got too much to talk about and the video becomes too long. But so I'm going to get right to it. The reason why I'm pointing at this computer screen right now on my laptop is because I finally got some block detection going on JMRI, which I was very excited about once I got it working. I did have block detection on my last layout, on my N scale layout, so I'm familiar with it. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I can definitely get around at least setting up sensors with BDL 168s from Digitrax and turnouts and things like that. So right now I'm in a very the beginning stages of setting this up, and at the same time I'm doing construction around the layout, and also the wiring is not like a regular bus wire where you just run two cables and run the whole layout. It's a lot more complicated. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a separate video on the inner workings of my block detection and how my panel works and everything. But just to show you what I'm looking at here, I basically had to draw a schematic of the 3 levels that I'm working with. It's actually 4 levels, but 2 of them are going to be kind of combined. So we're going to start from the top down. This is going to be my 3rd level. So here's the helix, and then this is basically a return loop. But the way you see it on a dispatch panel would just be straight, and it's basically just going to be straight. There is going to be a siding somewhere, so I have to add that on the 3rd level. But the 3rd level is acting as a return loop, so it's very simple. That's why you see it just like this. And then once it this would be the entrance of the return loop, and then this would be going back to the helix. So basically these two would be overlapping each other. But I wanted to show it this way so I could see where the beginning is and where the end is of the return loop. Then once it enters the helix, it's represented here. So as this gets detected, it's also going to be detected here as being occupied. Since the helix is only 1 track, it has to show as occupied, so no trains can enter. And so once you're in the helix, this basically becomes a 2nd level, and then you're heading south with this is the yard that's in between. It's like a transfer yard in between the northern part and the southern part of the run I'm doing with the Binghamton to Schenectady branch. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it, if it's going to be like Oswego or something in between, but I'll figure it out. Then as you continue, there's basically 2 big sidings. The gate is right in this area here, so that's what this is representing, this little section here. And then this is the big siding with all the industries. And then this is the stairway junction. In other words, my stairwell to get out of the basement is right in front of this thing, so that's what I'm calling it. And then it's right after we get past a single track for the stairway, we encounter another siding. And the reason why you see this red right now is because there's a train sitting on the siding right now, right here. So it's being occupied. It's waiting for the train to go by before it gets clearance. But as you can see, it has clearance on the other track. Then this is Belden Hill, right by the tunnel. So the tunnel starts here, and you're heading south. And then this section that you see occupied here is right where the bridge in front of the closet is. And that goes all the way down to like the main level area where you would find the gate. But the reason why you see it occupied here is because I have a train sitting right there on the Belden Hill approach, and there's the closet where the bridge is. So basically from the end of the bridge right there all the way down to, let's see if I can peek through here, all the way down to the gate right there on that side is considered a block before it enters the yard at Binghamton. So this is basically anything that's climbing would be here in the second level and represented by the second line here. This little spur that you see here is actually the entrance to my staging. My staging lead, which I still have to kind of, I have to draw it a little bit cleaner, but basically this is the same as this. So as the train, the train's heading south in this direction, as it exits this line, it actually ends up here. So now you're looking at it in the opposite direction. So this is right after the gate. And then this is the lead, the very, very long lead, which is also my reversing loop, that then gets you to the staging down under under the layout. And there's a turnout here that basically creates your loop by, if you take the diverging, that would be, if you take the main track, that would be, heading into the throat of the ladder here, of the yard. And then if you can imagine, there would be a loop here. And then back, these are the return tracks for the entrance to the layout. So all the trains would be stacked up here, facing, in that direction, which would be points south, like Pennsylvania or whatever, getting ready to enter the layout this way. So any trains going south toward Pennsylvania or whatever would be exiting the layout this way, and then the staging is actually going to get cut in half. So you're going to see blocks occupied on this side and then blocks occupied on that side. So you can have, I guess up to 3 trains going, waiting that way, and then up to 3 trains heading this way, or even 4 if you're going to put one in the actual runaround or in the actual return loop, which is what you're seeing here. So right now this is occupied because in the staging, I had this auto rack train just waiting. I mean, I just put any locomotive there for now, but it's waiting to enter the layout. So, things are functioning, and they're definitely not tweaked, and there's a lot to do on this panel still with labeling, and then I'm going to add signaling, and I still have to do the turnouts, and I have to install the I think they're called DS64s. Yeah, the DS64s that control the 4 turnouts for CTC, which would then be able to be controlled from this panel. But what I wanted to show you is a small demonstration of the train that's sitting at Belden Hill Approach. That's going to be traveling north, and then it's going to take the main here. It's going to bypass the train that you saw up here, and then it's going to keep going into the industrial, past the stairs into the industrial area, and I'm going to stop it right here on this block because I haven't finished the track work. As far as power, I haven't actually gotten to wire those up. So let me crank this up, and what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to just kind of film the train from here, and then also show you the panel at the same time. So eventually I'll make some fancier videos with a picture-in-picture thing where I can record the screen and show it to you while I'm actually videoing the train. But for now, since I don't have the time, we'll just do it this way. So let me just get this this train going. Gotta start it up. And so what you're looking at is, we're here right now. When we pass the bridges, we're going to be in the Belden Hill Approach before the siding. So the siding I'm talking about starts there. So by the time we hit that turnout here, you should see that section already lit up, and then the turnout is right there. So let's just get the train going. I'm just going to kind of run it faster than usual, just to kind of show you what's going on here. So here are the bridges. As soon as you see that bridge, as soon as you see locomotive pass that bridge, what's going to happen is it's going to release the previous block and light up the next block. You can see it right there. So as soon as that second locomotive passes, it's going to release that. You see? So now I'm on the approach up to this turnout right there. And obviously, you know, I'm going to take the other track that's clear right now. So trying to just peek through here. Here comes the train up the hill. I'm starting to do the backdrops now, so I can't see through the layout. But you'll see it coming around the peninsula here, which is the incline, which is Belden Hill. There it is. And the tunnel is going to start, actually the Belden Tunnel is going to start right where the stairs, where this wall is for the stairs. So it'll disappear for just this section here, and it'll exit right at the turnout. Well, actually a little bit before the turnout. So once we exit this block and we hit the turnout, you're going to see that we occupy this block, which is next to the siding, obviously, that this train is on. So you'll see that release, and you'll see that being occupied right around now. There it is. So I just occupied that block, and I'm going to release the other block. There it is. So everything's working well. And you can see here comes, we're passing the train right now. Whoops. Alright, so I just had a small derailment, but we're good now. And so again, we're still in the siding here, and we're about to exit the siding and then going to the Stairway Junction, which is this track here. So you can see we're just passing that train now. The siding actually ends here, and I made these sidings nice and long so that you know, so that I can actually get the train, a nice long train in here. So as soon as we pass this turnout, you're going to see that this is the Stairway Junction. There it is. That's going to get lit up. It should be very soon. There it is. It just lit up. And then we're going to release our main track right there. And now we're making it over to the other side on the main. I'm just checking for that one car that jumped. Not sure why that happened, but first time. And then once we clear this turnout here coming up, that's going to be your next siding. And again, we're on the main, so you're going to see the main light up, and this siding is not being occupied right now, so it should stay clear. And there's a release, and you're going to see I have to work out the spacing there, but there it is. So now I'm occupying that section, which is this here. Obviously the siding's not done yet. I gotta finish the track work. But everything seems to be getting picked up fairly well. So I'm just gonna go until I clear the siding here completely. Now I am going to be putting resistors on the wheels of the rolling stock, so it gets detected as well. Just going to stop it here. So that it gets detected completely. In other words, right now, all you're seeing detected is the locomotives because they're being powered. But when you put resistors on the wheels of the rolling stock, this block, for example, that we just left, won't get released until that last car crosses it. And the reason why that's important is because if you have a long train, or even a train like this, the dispatcher has to know that the caboose or the last car has cleared this turnout before it can release and switch this to the siding. On my last land, I didn't have that, and sometimes I'd run into problems when I would, have a dispatcher, where the train was still halfway through, through the turnout here, and they would think it was clear because it wasn't showing red, so they would just flip the turnout, and then major derailments in the middle of the train. So that's hopefully not going to happen here. Now, I just want to show you real quick what is controlling all this. I'm not going to explain all this. This is there's a lot going on here. So again, I'm going to make a video just for that. But I just kind of wanted to show you. And all you're looking at here really is just occupancy detection boards, which are BDL 168s from Digitrax. And you're looking at the little box down here is the LNWI, which is what lets me control the Wi-Fi throttle. That's what's speaking to the phone. And then just a PM42, which controls the 4 electrical zones that I have split, which I'll explain how I have that split and why I have it split that way later on. And then obviously I have the my command station, and I'm using a DCS210 Evolution, which I think is plenty. I don't think I'm going to have to get another booster to run the layout. I mean, it is kind of big, but it's not like it's not like a club layout or something like that. So I don't think I'll need it. And I'm trying to keep the wiring as neat as possible. That's why you see everything being fed, through the board neatly and everything. And the nice thing is that I had this. This is actually exactly what I had on my N-scale layout. I was able to just basically disconnect everything from the terminal blocks, as you can see, and then just pop that whole black panel just basically popped off the wall, and I just screwed it on onto this layout. So I'm just kind of plugging into the same exact setup, which is great. It saves me a lot of time and a lot of wiring. So that worked out nicely. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave JMRI alone, and I'm going to walk you through what I've been doing as far as the layout. I guess we'll start from the top down. I have done a lot of bench work. I'm not sure if I showed you this in the last video, but basically this is going to be the exit point of the helix, or it's the exit point, because as the trains come up, they're going to go to the left, which is considered the main line. And you can see the number 8 turnout here. It's set up for the main line going straight and then over to the left. Now the reason I stepped up the window here and I made a block here is because I'm going to put a lift-out bridge that I can just pop off when I need access to that window. But it'll probably not come out, often. So that's going to continue that way, obviously. But on the other side of the turnout, this is where I've done a lot of work. The divergent track is actually the entrance so the trains are going to be coming this way, heading south into the helix, and that's how you get back down. So it's basically a giant return loop that goes all the way around the basement. It takes, that third level all the way, and it's going to be like a high-speed track, just single, nothing going on, no industries, nothing like that, just a siding. It's going to go past that window. That tube is not going to be there. That's temporary. And then it's going to make its way over here. And this is where I also did a lot of bench work. Actually, I just finished this today. So this is my receiving block for it's kind of the same thing as what I did here, except the third level is not going to be connected to the rest of my gate like I did, with this stuff. It's going to be its own hinge. And it's going to come from here. It's actually going to be mounted off the ceiling. so that the hinge is up here and there's just space down here, because I don't want this thing to get wrecked. I don't care if there's a little bit of an interruption here, you know, and for the door to open this way. So it's just going to be basically a 2x4 or something that's going to come down, and that's what's going to help mount the hinge. So that's going to take a while to figure out. But from there on, it's basically just spline like I've been doing. So I got this curve. That's curve. That's going to take you down to the lift-out bridge, which I also made here. Except this lift-out bridge, I don't know if I explained this before, but the 3 lift-out bridges that I have here are going to be quasi-permanent, meaning I'm not going to need to take them out unless there's like a major thing going on in that closet, which normally there isn't. All I have in there is my sprinkler system, which I'm going to actually reroute so I can turn it on from down here. I don't have to get in there. And then just my circuit breakers. So, you know, unless if I blow a circuit or whatever, all I got to do is just duck under there. I have enough space to open the doors and just flip it and go right through again. So I'm trying to make it almost permanent. And I'm using, you know, very sturdy kind of locking systems with bolts and, you know, things like that, which I'll talk about at some other point. But the difference between these bridges down here and the 3rd level bridge is that these bridges are supposed to be like an actual bridge scene with water under it and whatever. This is going to be like a valley with a river. I'm actually going to cut this and make it a little lower so that I can really have a big valley here. But the top is just going to be, you know, hillside. So once I add the scenery here, it's just going to be basically like a hill. And that's why I decided to do it just with spline. And it actually worked out great because the spline is actually like braced onto the side panel here, which is then braced onto the L that I created there. But it comes out super easy. Let me just do it real quick. It comes out just like this. I'm just going to put it down so you can actually see it. And that's what it looks like. So as you can see, I just basically put the spline inside. Well, I built the frame out, and then I built up the spline, and I had to put one more piece from here to there, just to kind of really, you know, solidify it. Then all I'm going to do is create scenery by putting 1x3s or 1x4s under it to extend it, and then I can put my scenery in front of this. Just like that. So yeah, it just basically falls into place because you have these receiving shelves here and there. And just like that. Now obviously I got, you know, once I get the bolts and everything in place, this won't be, you know, there won't be any space in there or anything like that, but that'll come later. Then obviously after that it just continues. I did all this. The spline continues, it comes around, and then it goes into the wall at this point, across, and then into the turnout, like I showed you before. And I have my frog juicer waiting there for future. It's not going to be there though, because then I can't access it. It's probably going to be on the other side, or way at the bottom, and it's going to run a cable up. So yeah, that's major. This was like a lot of work. And here's the thing, I wanted to make it an incline because I wanted to create as much space as possible immediately from the 2nd level. So even though it's a little tight on this side, you can still get some good scenery. Actually, this is from my N-scale layout. I just kind of shoved it in there to see what it would look like. But this is just a transition area. And then once I get past the closet, I want to have a little more height. Even though it's not the ideal height that I want, but at least it's enough now so that, you know, you're actually looking into the layout or into the scene and not looking like you gotta like, you know, you gotta like, peek through or something like that. That's not. I don't want that in any of my levels. But also, what helps is that the tier system that I created. In other words, I went real big on the bottom, then I went almost like to the halfway point on the 2nd level. So that because when you're standing in the layout room, the tendency is to look down at the lower level. So once once you put the scenery up, you can still see the back of the layout there. And then the difference between the second level and the third level is that you're looking straight at the scene. So you don't need to have that much clearance, but you still need some so that it doesn't look ridiculous if it's too tight. And because of that, I had to do an incline to get to my ideal height, which is actually, I don't know what the difference between, I haven't actually measured this, but I wanted it to be 11 inches from the ceiling down, and I'll tell you why, because of this beam. If I make it any higher than that, what happens is I don't have the clearance to get past the beam at that point over there. So the train's actually going to be running in this pocket, which it's got clearance in here. I'm going to put lighting in there and stuff, but once I get to that curve there, I got to be able to clear like the auto racks and everything under the beam. So that's why I calculated it that way. And so I wanted that to be as high as possible, but still clear that so that it stays nice and high. And then I'll start dipping down once I get to like here, like the rest of the levels. I'll start dipping down so that I can meet the height over there, which is about 4 or 5 inches lower. So I have all of this to kind of figure that out. So it's a nice gentle slope all the way down. So that's what's happening there. I don't build layouts like I'm always impressed with people that build layouts on a computer. Like everything's like, down to like the inch, and they have all their track work figured out and what turnouts and, I'm really impressed with that. I just can't do it. I don't know how to do it, and I've never even attempted it. So this is not the way I build things. But the way I build things is I kind of picture it in my head. I kind of have a general idea of what I want, and I know what the things I actually have what I don't want very clear in my head, and then what I want comes along with that. But I always modify things as I go, and I see what works and what doesn't work. And it's especially been true with this layout because I'm brand new with the scale with HO. So I don't, it's very different. Like you could pull, it's like 50 cars in N scale with like 2 locomotives or even with 1 because they're so light. But once you get into like real, weighted cars and, the stuff that I've been buying, I'm surprised how heavy they are. I have to be careful with all the limitations and also the radius, the turns. In N scale, you have, the couplers are attached to the actual truck, so they turn with the wheels, and that allows you to take much tighter turns than when they're, mounted to the actual car. So anyways, I just want to just kind of show you what I've been, the process of how I come to these conclusions of the heights and all this stuff. I had no idea how high this was going to be when I first started. In fact, I had no idea I was going to have a 3rd level. But my original plan did not work out because I was actually going to actually do a reverse loop there originally in the ceiling and then come right back around. But it would have been like in the ceiling, and it would have looked sloppy. And I didn't want to put a lot of holes in the ceiling and all that stuff. So I decided against that. The second plan was to run it through the wall. In other words, to come through here and then go through here, but up, like keep going up into this pocket here, and then kind of run it all the way down there, or on this side and run it through the wall, and out the other side of the staircase. But that would have been a disaster, and it would have been really hard to get the grade up and then really fast down to get down to that level. So I'm glad I did this. Plus it gives me like another, whatever it is, 10 minutes of runtime, which is great. I can be running trains for a long time and not get, into that like, oh yeah, I'm running that section again and again and again. So I'm excited about that. Anyways, so the only other thing I've been working on is basically getting my backdrop, what do you call it, Masonite, figured out. I'm just kind of like testing them. And I want my backdrops to be curved. I don't want any like right angles, or at least I want the least amount of corners that I can possibly avoid. So over here I might have to leave this one because it's just, tracks are kind of close here, but I might still be able to kind of curve it around. I got to play around with that, but at least this is going to be curved. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do behind the bridges here, how I'm going to mount that so it just continues to curve here. And so that when I take the bridge out, it comes with the backdrop. I got to figure that out. And then over here, I kind of made a mistake, but I might leave it. You know, the backdrop goes like this. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I tried to bend it this way before the bend comes this way, and I actually bent it too fast without letting it kind of settle, and I cracked it right here. But I'm going to have a tunnel that's going to be right here on this section. It's going to go really high here too. So, you know, I might just leave it like that because you're not going to see it anyway. You know, so, and then I'm just kind of playing around with it and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. The other thing I did was I finished my inside loop for my staging, so that's why I was able to get that train down there, like I showed you in the beginning of the video. And everything is running really well. This is where I'm going to split the yard right here, because that's basically dictates the halfway point between the entrance tracks and the exit tracks. So this way, you know, I can detect the train. Like if there's a train that's going to, how would it be? If there's a train, yeah, they're coming this way. It can stop here. There's going to be a signal here. It can stop here before entering the next section, but then I can have another train stacked right in front of this one, waiting to go. So I'm going to put a camera somehow so you can see this point right here, and at least the lights. I might put it like over there and have it facing this way so you can see, you know, as the trains come in, where the light is, and you can see the signals from that, you know, camera pointing this way. And then once you get the green, you know, you can continue. So, you know, obviously there's a lot of work to do and a lot to play around with, but I'll get all that figured out. So, I mean, it's a lot of work that I've been doing. It doesn't seem like it, but it has been taking a lot of my time. And I've been cleaning up as much as possible. So as you can see, you can actually see the floor, and it's kind of vacuumed. You know, so I've been playing around with all that as well, and moving things around and getting organized. This side is a total mess right now because this is where I'm working right now with the wiring and the computer and everything. So I have stuff out of the way. I'm still drilling holes. But, you know, the other thing I wanted to show you is that my wiring, this is what's been taking so long. So the way the wiring works for my block detection system is that you have to run basically a home run every time you have a new block. So let's talk through it like I showed you. In order for me to get here to detect this sighting, I have to have one run from the panel to here. And it's got to be the entire length of the track so that the feeder wires can all feed to that one wire that's detecting that track. Then I got to do the same thing with the main track. I got to run a wire that's long enough that it reaches the other turnout so that all the feeders can be attached to that. Then I got to run another wire that's longer for this section because all of those need to be detected. And by the way, you can see all the wires in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wires in there. And I also got one of these organizers, which are great, because I could just put them in there and then just pop it closed, and it looks really slick. You can barely tell it's there. And so, you know, then I got to take another wire. You know, you get the point. For that one, for this one, and then all the way to here. Once I get to the bridge, then I'm good. I can run the wires the other way, which I did. So now the wires are running in this direction. You can see them running through there. And when they get here, because this is going to come out, what I did is I created, well, I took these plugs and I soldered all my wires to these, you know, plugs that have 6 wires, which is what I need on one side and on the other side. These are like car or like, I think actually they're like boat electronic plugs, so that they're waterproof and they're super sturdy. So that's what I used, and you know, I'll obviously make that neater. But that's what makes it so that when I take the bridge out, I can just unplug there, and the whole thing comes out with all the wiring included. My wiring is actually all back here, and it's labeled, you know, so that it comes with the bridge without a problem. See, here's the thing. I keep finding things that I've done. I also started my bench work for my lower track, which is considered almost like a short line or a branch line. So it's going to be totally level on the main while this one continues to climb up to Belden Hill. So yeah, I did all this. I went under there. And then there's like a curve here that's going to go like this. And then I got to, obviously, this is where the bridges are going to be. It's going to connect again to the ground level here. And then through here, it's going to duck under this track. There's going to be another bridge here for the upper track. It's going to duck under, then there's going to be a tunnel that makes it go through the wall, and that's how you get to the other side of the layout on that track. And then you go to the yard. So yeah, all that's happening. And I'm trying to keep things as neat as possible while I do all the wiring. I showed you this wiring, but I'll show you what I did under the bench work here. Let me see if I can just duck under here real quick. Because the other thing is that not only do you have to run, you know, the wires for the sections. So in other words, this is my staging area. So it's track 1 staging, track 2, track 3, track 4 for the actual power. This is what's sensing the track. Then you need a common bus for this particular zone in case you short circuit it. Only the staging will turn off. So that's what this wire is for, this white wire. And then these are for the reverse loop that are actually acting as the lead to the staging yard. So, you know, you need these 3 wires as well. And then on top of that, you also need a bus wire. And your bus wire is for like things like, you know, the frog juicers and any other devices that you just need regular power. It's not a good idea to combine your bus power with your track power. So that should be separate. At least that's what I've heard, and I've had trouble in the past because I've done it where I just pull the power from the track and it creates conflicts. But as you can see, I pulled my bus wire from this bus, which is the black and the red here, and I pulled it down through the corner there, and that's how I'm getting the power for the frog juicer. So I didn't really need to, you know, since that's the only thing I have to run down there, I didn't really want to run a whole bus wire for that. So what I did is I just basically ran it down and then ran it across this way. It's just an extension for the frog juicer there and for the reversing unit that I have there. So, you know, again, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I am going to make a video just on the electronics and block detection and JMRI. I'll make almost like a shorter set of videos for that stuff, which I've done in the past, but now I feel like I have more experience, so hopefully I can explain it a little better. But that's basically it. I'm sure I missed a few things, but I guess I'll get that on update number 17. With that said, this is the end of 16, so hopefully you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next video. Take care.